Okay, great. Thanks so much, everybody. So good afternoon, and welcome to our CEC June check-in call. I feel like it's been forever and a day since we saw you guys, so we put up this photo of us so we could all remember the last time we saw each other in person in DC just a month ago. So for today's call, we actually have mostly a series of updates, and I do want to create some time and space on the call just for general check-ins. I do think this is our time together too, so if there are any additional items you all would like to add to the agenda or questions that you have, please feel free to just jump in and chime in on the chat box or just unmute yourself and ask the question directly. Okay, great. And then if you're, just as a courtesy, if you could keep yourselves on mute while we go through things and unmute as you chime in, that'd be helpful for the quality of the call. Okay, so for today's call, we just had a few announcements for everybody, a couple of things I know. Hopefully most of you received the follow-up email from our DC meeting, but we're going to go through a couple of those things from the DC, some wrap-up items, and also a couple of program updates. Wanted to let you know of just to keep your eyes open for a July DACA DAPA webinar that our policy team is going to be hosting. And then we're going to spend just a little bit of time discussing the Q2 progress report, which is now due Friday, June 19th. And I've spoken to a couple of you about that. So if you have questions, kind of save them for that item. And then we also wanted to, on this call, remind you all about National Health Center Week, which is coming up pretty fast, August 9th to the 15th. And we're going to go through sources that you can be expecting to see and next steps you should be taking at your health centers. Are there any other items that folks would like to add to the agenda that aren't captured here? Okay. If not, also I just wanted to let you all know there may be a little lag time on our end with the slide transition, so I'll try to slow down and keep up with that. We just had a location change on our end, so the connection's a little different. Okay, I'm going to keep moving forward. So just a couple of DC wrap-ups and reminders. We did send out a communication. I wanted to remind folks again that if you haven't, it's really a great best practice and courtesy to send a follow-up message or a thank you letter to the members of Congress that you had a chance to visit while we were at the May convening. And what we can do, we sent out a template thank you letter. If you haven't had a chance to do that, I know coming back home to the health center probably back into the flurry of things, but we'll resend that template letter out. It's just a best practice. And I also just included a photo here of Ronnie with Senator Elizabeth Warren, because Ronnie actually, she can't join us today, but she actually received a thank you letter from them, which I thought was really great, and just thanking her for her time there and sharing information about Lowell and the great work they're doing in Massachusetts. So you never know, as we continue to cultivate these relationships, hopefully that's the ideal where we end up, them remembering your face and your name and sending you a letter. And then also, I think related to DC, you remember we had a key policy agenda item on the medically underserved areas and how that impacts our CHCs and the criteria that were previously we were advocating for. So I actually I'm going to turn it over to Heather for just an update on that agenda item that we thought was valuable for you all to know. So Heather, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. Can you guys all hear me? Do you think, is that loud enough? Hello?
We can hear you.
Yes. Yes? Yes. Okay. Okay, fantastic. So the update, I believe, is on the next slide, Jen, on the medically underserved area and health professional service area. So first of all, thanks for all your advocacy on this. This was a really important piece, and we also wanted to make sure it's one of the key things that is unique for APTO members is that language access is taken into account when looking at reimbursements and considering medically underserved. And so one thing that was clear, we finally found out a little bit more into the decisions within HHS during the Senator Sanders meeting. And so actually the rulemaking committee that we were asking for, that we were asking to take into account language access is called the National Rulemaking Committee. And because they were not able to come up with a unanimous decision, the process actually has to start again. So that's frustrating, I know, it's tough. And that means that we have to ask for, in the appropriations process, for there to be, which is the yearly process for the budget, we have to ask for that in the upcoming appropriations process. And that won't be until next year that we can advocate for that in the appropriations process. What that means is that this late summer and fall we're going to come together to pull what that report language is going to be and to kind of prep offices to give them a background on this so that they understand what this means. We want them to understand what the importance of this decision before they just find it on an appropriations report. So that's just an update that that process is actually taking a different track, and so instead of sending the letters from our congressional leaders to Secretary Burwell, we actually have to take a different track. So just wanted to give you guys a quick update on that. Any questions?
Thanks, Heather. Yeah, if folks have questions, just feel free to chat or chime in. Also, Heather, I just wanted to let folks know, too, that they are also or should be receiving the APTO policy newsletter. I believe we added them to the circulation list. Is that correct?
I believe so. They should be. Let me know if you guys aren't getting it. But yeah, so we are doing a monthly policy update. Obviously, with only the two of us on staff, sometimes there are delays occasionally, but we're trying to get that out monthly. And so that should just be a pulled together update. One thing that would be great is if you guys are doing things out in the field, if we could highlight those. Definitely let us know if there's things that we can bring into the policy newsletter and start sharing. So yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, Heather. Okay, and then folks can always feel free to email Heather directly with any questions or clarifications or materials. Okay, so I'm going to move forward with our program update. So as many of you may remember, a quick glimpse of Alan Gamboa, but I'm really excited to welcome Alan more officially on our call as the Community Services and Partnerships Coordinator here at APTO. I am extremely excited to have Alan on board, and actually Alan will be sort of centralizing a lot of our communication. So for those of you who haven't kind of get a hold of me, now you can get a hold of Alan. You'll be submitting your Q2 reports to Alan as well. So just want to officially welcome Alan again. And then as far as some of our next steps here too at APTO, we are, and I mentioned this previously, but now we're going to be digging into scheduling some one-on-one calls with each of you. I think per your Q1 reports and your Q2 reports coming in, and then the time we had face-to-face in DC, we really want to kind of work with each of you individually to understand and clarify gaps in your projects, and also what you're thinking would be most useful in terms of TA or tools and next steps for your project work and civic engagement. And that's a good chance for us to just also check in on how you're feeling and any other feedback you may have for us as well. So we'll be sending out, I think, a doodle poll on our end to calendar each of you, but our goal is to really contact and have conversations with each of you over the next month and a half at most. So we're really looking forward to those calls, and I know we've had a couple already. And I also wanted to emphasize, I know that as we've kicked off these monthly calls, that they have had more of a focus on logistics and planning because of our convening and the funding cliff, but our true intention is to really begin to shift into a peer learning community on this call. So please look forward to that, and I think just a lot of the information that you guys have been great at giving us from the survey tool a few months back to your reporting, we're really getting a stronger sense of some of the really great practices that are happening, and want to really use this time moving forward for peer learning. So in that spirit, our call, which will be July 10th because of the holiday weekend, we're going to be folks mute your line if you aren't muted right now. Thank you. July 10th, we'll be focusing on civic engagement integration into enrollment services, and we know a few of you have had success and are piloting out models in this area. We know it's a highly sensitive area in the health center interface, extremely time-sensitive encounter too. So we had asked, I think, Abby and Orkan from ICHS in Seattle to kind of showcase some of the work that's happening in their enrollment interface and the introduction of civic engagement and voter registration opportunities. And also Tina from NEM here in San Francisco to talk a little more about their enrollment query interface that they had at our main meeting. Okay, I'm still hearing a little bit of background noise, so if you could mute yourself or just double check that you're on mute, that would be great. Okay. Great. Okay, so look forward to that moving forward, and I think we're also brainstorming, and I'll be putting out, I think, some ideas on this call in the future about peer learning models and best practices that folks want to hear more about, and tee many of you up for just a peer presentation on the call in the future. Any questions about just this brief slide on program update? Okay. So moving forward, I think there may be more questions here. We have our second quarter progress report coming up, and you'll note we did push back 1 week from what was originally in your contracts to June 19th as a submission date. And it's by the end of the day on June 19th, and you should have received, and we'll send out after this call the template again in case you did not receive it. And please submit your reports directly to Alan. A couple of things that are different on this template from the first quarter that I wanted to be upfront about and open up to questions if folks have them is, one, we have included, in addition to just your total voter registration count in the last quarter and then cumulatively, a status check on your list building metric. So this is, again, I know that not everyone is at this stage yet or getting the tools to do so, but we want it for those of you who are further along the line in doing the list building development, that we want the opportunity for you to report in on how that's going. So I wanted to also emphasize that if you don't have anything to report, please don't worry about it. That's what our one-on-one calls are doing. And actually, here at APSHO for the next couple of months, we are really honing in on each of your sites to make sure you feel clear and have the right tools and conversation happening in your health center to begin the list development process. Again, this is the second ask in addition to voter registration, trying to get clients, patients, consumers, community members to be willing to be contacted in the future for advocacy opportunities through the health center. These are your list to develop, but they are separate from those members' experiences as patients at your health center. So there are some key steps in implementing the list that we want to make sure everybody has a chance to get those tools and resources. So if you don't have anything to report on this, please do not worry. And then I also wanted to let folks know in terms of SALSA next steps, had a few questions about this. Right now for SALSA, we are going to be teeing up a next training, but also realizing I think APJO is in the process itself of transitioning fully to Salsa as well, so we have some catch-up to do here in-house, but I also wanted to let you all know you currently do have your logins and passwords to get in and explore Salsa, and we'll be resending a training and orientation link to Salsa for those of you who are anxious about that. And I think our next training topic, what we'll be looking at, is actually importing your existing internal list databases, whether that's an Excel sheet, etc., into the Salsa tool. But there is no rush on that next step going into this third quarter. We really want to just make sure that everybody is clear and comfortable with the concept of the list development, and that they actually have an internal database in Excel that is very clear to them. So I'm happy to talk to each of you more, I think, on our individual calls as well about Salsa next steps for those of you who want to go to the next level. I think we can have those conversations as well, but just wanted to let folks know over the summer we're really just honing in on making sure folks feel comfortable with the list building process and tools. Okay, and also the other addition on the quarter 2 report is we did want to get a better accounting for those of you who may be sub-granting your awards to other community partners to assist in your civic engagement work, and this is really just for us to note who is actually are the recipients of funds nationally. So this is an effort that all the nationals are trying to get a better handle on, is where all the funds are going, and particularly at the local and regional level. It's more of a coordination ask on our part. So if you could indicate that on the report. And then also, I think, you know, we would like to hear, I know many of you have been in touch with the consultants through the Coulter Consortia, and I think it's extremely important. We have been in touch with the consultants as well, and we're going to begin to coordinate and join in on some of your calls with the consultants. But in your quarter report, that is really a great opportunity to let us know what activities you're engaging in with the consultants, as well as your feedback on the training materials or check-in calls that some of you have had to date. We really want to, I think, keep our ears to the ground in terms of the utility and what they're most useful for you all moving forward, so we can consider what things look like going into the fourth quarter. So please share any feedback you have with us on those quarter 2 reports. We'll be looking at that and following up with you individually on your calls for more details. I also wanted to let folks know that upon receipt of the second quarter report, we will be sending out instructions for your second installment of your grant award. So that should be the second half of your grant award that'll be coming out to you shortly after the second quarter report's received. So just keep your eyes out for instructions from us after this call. I'm going to pause for just a second for any questions or comments about the quarter 2 progress report. Just feel free to stop. Oh,
Jan.
Hello? Yes.
It's Claudia. Claudia from Day Clinic. I have a quick question about the Salsa. So if I understand right, there's going to be one-on-one calls on that so that we can become a little bit more familiar with the product?
We can certainly check in on Salsa on our calls. For Salsa right now, over the next couple of months, we'll be teeing up another orientation training to the actual product.
Okay.
So, yeah, and in the interim, I think we're just wanting folks to, we're double checking that everybody feels comfortable with their list development process and understanding of the list development, because that's the most important thing before you even get into Salsa.
Okay. Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for the question. Okay. Feel free to continue to chat and chime in if you have questions. So I'm going to move forward to the next item. which is National Health Center Week. It's coming up quick, and June is a fast month, and before we know it, it'll be August. So just a flag for everyone, and hopefully many of you are familiar with National Health Center Week. That second week of August, and it's really a week-long opportunity for community health centers across the nation to, I think, educate about their value and the contributions you make. A lot of folks leverage this opportunity to promote the great work and to really strengthen or showcase the great work, particularly to your congressional leaders and your district leaders. So the National Association of Community Health Centers has a huge platform around National Community Health Center Week, and APCHA will be sort of complementing that platform. But we did want everyone to flag this as a key event around which to organize some of your deliverables for the initiative. So the 2015 theme for Community Health Center Week is America's Health Centers, Celebrating Our Legacy, Shaping Our Future. This, again, is the 50th anniversary of community health centers. May have, I think, substantial significance to you on a local level, and you know, your individual health centers catalyst and impetus for getting started. So what I need you all to do, and our ask to you on today's call, is to, if you haven't already, please begin starting some discussions with your internal leadership. Your CEO should be included for that conversation in identifying an event or an activity or activities that your health center can participate in during that week. If there are, I will say, I know that if you have a timely anniversary event or a standing event that's even in or around that week, go ahead and brand it for National Health Center Week. We would love to capture anything. I know that timing maybe isn't always exactly perfect during the 8th, the 9th to the 15th, but more importantly, just please begin the discussion internally. And I know some of you that may involve several steps, so make sure you're bringing this up at your leadership teams, and or if you need time to schedule a meeting with your CEO to just let them know. For the Civic Engagement Initiative, we're really asking every site to line up an activity or an event during that week. And we're going to tell you a little bit more about options on the next slide. So again, wanted to flag the following website for you all if you aren't already familiar with it. It's www.healthcenterweek.com, and it is connected and affiliated with NAC, but it's a specific website just to host National Health Center Week activities. This is a great resource to check out and see. What we pulled up here is just a snapshot of their activities and event ideas page, which you could take a look through just to kind of get your thinking together around things that you could be doing on site during the week. You'll here, I was super excited about the flash mob option. I know many of you are ambitious, so I'm just flagging that for some of you, more showcasey folks. But really, there's a whole range of events, and I think for us, we want to make sure you're considering any of your civic engagement programs or activities, you know, voter registration drives or health fairs or other things that might be really timely to think of scheduling during that week. So again, this will be completely dependent upon your individual health center and what's happening for you locally or regionally. But please take a look through and peruse this website as kind of a little primer to get an idea of things. Let's see, I'm going to move on to the next slide. And in addition to some of the resources on that page, and you'll see there are many tools available and templates available on that page. APCHA is going to be doing a complimentary APCHA National Health Center Week toolkit, and in our toolkit specifically, you will receive access to an APCHA Health Center's video. It's I think Bev is on the call. Bev, feel free to jump in if I miss anything. But it's a 2 to 3 minute video just really showcasing the APTO and AA and NHPI serving health centers and what's unique for us, and that features, I think, many of your CEO leaders, ED leaders from the health center movement there. So that would be a great tool to incorporate if you're doing an event or a town hall. Also, there'll be a congressional member invitation template. You know, of course, it's incredibly important that you first identify a meaningful event that you'd like to do at the health center to invite that congressional member to. So that's step one. I'll go over that again in just a minute. But there'll be invitation member templates in there because, as Heather has told me, a lot of the congressional members are scheduling their in-home visits during their August recess now. So we are kind of encouraging you all to get this conversation going at your health center sooner rather than later, so that you can actually get a meaningful invitation out to your congressional member to stop by. We'll also provide, I think, a reference guide, as I mentioned, and a timeline for how best to schedule and calendar your congressional member. Let's see. Heather, I don't know if you have this as a reference, but I know you had said there were specific times when House and Senate members are in town. Do you happen to have that handy? If not, we can send it out after the call.
Sure. I have it in the email. I believe that it's all of August for the Senate as well, and the House also has the first week of August.
Okay.
Let me just double check that real quick. Sorry.
Okay. Sorry, I put you on the spot. But irregardless, yeah, we can send that info out to you, and I think it is important to figure out what you're going to be doing next.
Sorry, Jen. Here, I have it right here.
Yeah.
Do you want me to do that? Okay.
Yeah, you have it.
So because this. So the Senate in district break is August 10th to September 4th. Then the House in district break is August 3rd to September 4th. So obviously National Health Center Week is right in there, being that August 10th to 17th. So it would be good to send, because all those congressional leaders they know they have August recess, everybody knows they have August recess, and people are scheduling in district time across their district. Right now for August, it would be good theoretically to send an invite by June 30th as a goal. Again, you know, it is good to have it around an event, so that if it has to predicate on that, that makes sense. But that being an ideal date. And then if you need to follow up the next week, you can also follow up with the DC office as well as the local office. That gives you time to do that as well. And then we would just say to mention in the body of the email, I think we're sending a template invite so people can use that if they want to work off of something. But we were saying it might be useful to put on the actual body of the email, or if you're doing a phone call, that you did just meet with the DC folks, and so this is kind of that follow-up in district.
Great.
And then the other thing is if they say no to that event, you can also offer to do an in-district visit. So that means you can also go to their in-district offices. But it's not as exciting as coming out to the health center and everything like that. But if they turn the clinic visits down, that is another option.
Great. Mm-hmm. Great. Thanks, Heather. So the slide that's up now is just kind of a quick next step. So, and I know it's Friday, but as you come back in next week to just continue to, keep the conversation going internally, whatever that means for you and your health center. Identify a timely and meaningful event or activity that you're interested in hosting during or around National Health Center Week, and we'll be sending out just a survey monkey, because we want to, at APTO, I think in the next month, really get a good grasp on the events that everyone is committing to do. We'll be doing, I think on our July call, another update on how we'll be amplifying your events nationally and making sure you have all the right tools to be in tandem with National Health Center Week on NAC's side as well. more visibility, the better for your site. And then again, as soon as you have that activity or event identified, then taking the next steps to invite your electeds out to your health centers, or as Heather said, other alternatives to in and around the recess for district offices. Okay, any questions about the primer for National Health Center Week? Okay. And I know that events, please do, I think about a meaningful event that is within your capacity to do. I know some folks are doing large town halls as it fits in with their organizational practices, but if yours may be a voter education event or something that you're doing around program integration with voter or citizenship education, those are all great opportunities for your local leadership to see the great work that you're doing at the health center. So anything that you can do, and we'll be sending out on the survey, several options. So please, I just encourage you to do something to scale and that's within your capacity. Okay. So I just wanted to pause too, and I know it's kind of a quiet day on the call, but if folks on the line, if anybody has any kind of community updates or things that have transpired since we last saw each other in May that you're excited or would like to share with the cohort on the call, I'm just going to do an open mic call out for any updates. Okay. Next time I'm going to call. I'm not going to do that today. But yeah, I mean, the idea is bridge the gap. Wow. So a bit of a brief call. I think someone is, yes, you could mute. That would be helpful. Thank you. Oh, goodness. Sorry. Sorry about that. So for our next step, just as a wrap up for today, we finish a little early. You'll be receiving a follow-up email from this call with, again, the links to the slides that we went through today, a thank you template for your DC wrap-up items to your member of Congress that you had a chance to visit. You'll also receive the National Health Center Week survey and APCHO complimentary toolkit and tools, and then you'll also receive an email follow-up with instructions on invoice and payments for your second installment of the grant award, and then a doodle poll also for us to line up a one-on-one call with each of you as a sort of a project status check-in. We will have some standard questions for those calls that we're happy to send to you in advance, if that helps, but it's really more of a check-in call than a report audit call. So, and then just to flag, so you guys all have on your calendars, the next CEC call is scheduled for Friday, July 10th, and same time. And our peer-to-peer learning topic featuring Abby and Tina will be best practices integrating civic engagement into enrollment services. I do want to note, several folks have asked, moving forward, we are committed to getting back on a first Friday schedule. I apologize for the 2 months fall off the wagon there, but in August we'll be sending out also the future calendar list of calls. But August.
Hey Jen, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, hi, this
yes.
is Sue. I think the reason why people aren't talking is because some of us may be muted, because I don't think this is a quiet group by any means. And I saw that some of the people trying to write notes of what they're doing. I'm just wondering, because one of the best things about DC was just meeting people and just hearing the great work and the great energy. if in the future we can just do like a quick round robin in addition, because I learned so much hearing what others do, so if we can incorporate that into the call. And then for some reason, this call, somehow people get muted, so I don't think they're able to talk as well.
Okay. Yeah, I think we'll make sure everybody's unmuted. And that's a great suggestion too on the round robin. Just a quick chime in from everybody. So yeah, would want to hear your voices. I see. Yeah, Kimlee, you should be unmuted now. But I saw your comment too that you guys are getting ready to host the Ohio Health Conference next weekend with more than 200 people. That's amazing. Let's see. Oh, yes, and I did see Andrew that actually at Operation Omaha in San Diego that they passed a resolution for ethnic studies to be implemented in K through 12 through San Diego United School District. That is amazing. Thank you for chiming in on that. That's a huge success, and super excited to see that happen. And then get that across the country.
And then one thing I thought was helpful once I friended some folks, especially like Mylene and Andrew, who like are always like busy, is if there's a way that we can just see some of the photos, I mean through Facebook or through some way, I think it just is very inspiring to see.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. We will work on that on our end too. I think to get kind of these updates earlier too, so when we come together, we have some visuals as well. I wanted a 16-way video conference call, but I think that's tough for everybody to do. But yeah, thank you too for the input. Okay, sweet. So yes, I feel like it's a long time till we see each other again or talk again, but we'll be in touch with each of you very soon, and then also I think try to include more photos too in our communications to you all as well. So that is, I think, another thing for Q2 reports. If you'd like and have key events, please submit photos to us as well. It's not a hard requirement, but if you do have are really able to capture local events, we'd love to have photos, videos, anything. And I think it's a good idea as well too to link to each other's organizations if you are on Facebook or a social media user. A lot of you I know are sort of tasked with posting and keeping up that visibility too for your great work. So great suggestions. Any other comments before we sort of close out a little early today?
Jen, it's Tina. Can you hear me?
Hey, hi. Yeah.
Hi. I have a question on for the Q2 report that's due next Friday. I don't know if I should talk to you about this right now on the call or call you after, about one of the numbers that we're supposed to be reporting on, like that we're supposed to pull from the SALSA report, I think.
Related to the list?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little confused on that. So I mean, if you could walk through where we can find that, I'm just not sure.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think we should talk offline, but I think on the next call as well, we are needing to go through, for those of you who are using the Rock the Vote online registration tool, there is a consent that's built into the actual tool that I'm pretty sure folks may not be prompting folks who are registering to vote to indicate that that's actually a consent item where they can be contacted in the future by your organization. So I will go through that in detail on the next call on the voter reg tool, because that's the export of data that we'll be sending you all, and you can see on that spreadsheet of hard data where the consent is indicated. Meaning that they are part of your list and have consented to your list. But this is where, and I appreciate you bringing it up, Tina, where we are needing to go back and just kind of go through the whole model more clearly with everybody.
Okay.
So I will also follow up with you offline too.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Okay, anyone else? I'll give it a few more seconds before we sign out. Okay, great. So thank you so much, everybody, again, for
Hi,
being
Jen.
here.
It's Bev. Can you hear me? But I see a question on the chat window.
Oh, Nita, here. Okay. Yes, Nita, I will respond to your questions offline. I see that. Okay. I think that's it, Bev. Yep.
Also, Jen, just a real quick reminder for folks that, or I know that you had mentioned that you're probably going to send a link to the SALSA training, but just a quick clarification that probably there's no contacts on your current SALSA account because it would have been needed to be uploaded from the online voter registration tool or your other list. But I think that was what Jen was touching on, that Jen, I guess the report is probably asking for the registration counts from the online voter registration tool. So it's 2 different locations or 2 different databases. And yeah, Jen will probably go on about that later.
Yeah, there's the Rock the Vote pathway for the list development, and then I know many folks are doing hard consents and have their internal Excel sheets through their health center advocate kind of sign up tool. So yeah, there's a couple of pathways to populate the list that we're going to focus on in our one-to-one calls, and then probably do a workshop call on our future CEC call as well. But thanks, Beth. Okay, so that's what we have for today. And thank you, everybody, again for joining the call. And please look forward to the follow-up email, and then for us to calendar and schedule one-on-one calls with each of you. And we'll send the doodle poll out as soon as possible, because I know we also have some individual calls to do sooner rather than later. So thanks so much, everyone. Happy Friday. Have a fabulous weekend. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks
you.
Jen.
Have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.